Explore the world without leaving your couch. The virtual 2021 Milwaukee Film Festival, presented by Associated Bank, takes place May 6th through the 20th. Bringing together the best in cinema from across the globe in our own backyard, our 13th annual festival is easier to access than ever before. Available through a variety of apps, you can watch from your phone, TV, computer, or tablet with ease. Learn more and save your virtual seat now at mkefilm.org/MFF.
Good evening, everyone tuning in. Welcome to day 14 of the 2021 Milwaukee Film Festival presented by Associated Bank. I'm Marielle Alschwang, the Education Manager at Milwaukee Film, and this is the Nightcap presented by the Yabuki Family Foundation. I just want to remind you to not forget to cast your vote for the Alan H. Budd and Suzanne L. Seelig Audience Award. To do that, visit the Film or Shorts program page at watch.mkefilm.org. Log in with your pass or ticket code and click the button that says Vote Now, and you'll be connected to the form that serves as your ballot. This year, voting closes tonight at 11:59 p.m. on May 19th. So again, tonight. And our awards will be announced at a live virtual ceremony on closing night, which is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Tune in and see if your favorites win. And as you've seen, we have a double up challenge happening. We've already hit our original target of $50,000. Many, many thanks to all of you who helped us reach that goal. But Susan and Bob Mikule have generously raised their offer, taking our goal to $75,000 to raise by the end of the festival, which is very, very soon. We are still short of that goal, so if you're able, every little bit helps. So we welcome any amount that you're able to contribute. Anyone who donates or has already donated to Milwaukee Film's Double Up Challenge will be included in a raffle for the chance to receive a private screening with up to 49 friends at the newly restored Oriental Theater. To sweeten the deal, we'll throw in soda and popcorn too. So text Double Up to 44321 or go to mkefilm.org/donate to donate. You can also go to mkefilm.org/members to become a member and help us meet our goal. And while we're on the subject of membership, I just want to reiterate and re-emphasize that Milwaukee Film couldn't do what we do during the festival as well as throughout the year without the support of our members. Members get access to free films throughout the year, discounts on passes, tickets, and more, and our members keep the nonprofit Milwaukee Film going. So as the education manager at Milwaukee Film, that includes all of the awesome youth education and family program that we've been doing over the years. So if you think that sounds appealing or of value, we would heartily ask you to join us. And if you're already a member, we thank you and thank you for spreading the word. This evening, we are joined by very lovely filmmaking teams whose work we're currently featuring in our Rated K for Kids program. We're joined by Joe Roy, director of Running Up That Hill, Carlos Douglas Jr., and Michael Von Bodegom Smith. I'm reminding myself to slow down a little bit. From Kenya's Symphony. And finally, Natalia Bernal and Alejandro Coronado from Ramon. Wherever you're watching us live, drop your questions and comments in the chat or comment section, and we'll pull them into our conversation. So All right, so let's welcome Joe Roy from Running Up That Hill.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is our infinite pleasure. We love your film, Running Up That Hill. It is delightful. And I can't wait to share more about the process because it sounds really, really interesting and cool. But first, as a Kate Bush fan, what made you decide to, I guess, team up with Meg Myers, who did a cover of that song, and where did the concept of this video short film come from?
It's a great question. So Meg Myers actually approached me through my agent to pitch on this film, this project, and she already had a lot of really amazing ideas. She had little figments here and there about reading and a picture book and children and a butterfly, and was kind of telling me this vision she had. And it was just kind of a process for me of rearranging some of the elements that she said. I had always wanted to make a film that was featuring the work of children, the coloring of children. And so it just felt like the right opportunity. And it was kind of just a playful project that I was really excited to produce. And so me and her, basically it was a collaborative effort where we talked together about what we wanted to do. And we were both really excited from the beginning.
That sounds like an amazing collaboration, and with not just Meg, but as you mentioned, how many children contributed to this?
I believe the number is somewhere around 2,300. Sometimes I forget the exact number. I think it was 2,300. There was 3,202 frames. So yes, so some of them did too, but yeah, it was quite a few children.
That's incredible. Were they all in art programs, or how did you get them engaged?
It's a great question. So I ended up actually going back to, there's some different, we did have children from different communities. Sometimes in LA, we teamed up with a nonprofit called Ola in Canada, or in LA, and they helped us. And we did a little workshop with them, and they did some coloring. But I also went back to my hometown and worked with actually my own elementary school and a whole bunch of elementary schools in the area that I grew up, which was really rewarding and amazing. And I'm just happy that my hometown of Edmonton, but also the smaller city of St. Albert, where I'm from, really showed up, and they're a very artistic city as well. So yeah, it was great.
That's such a treat. Did you feel nostalgic working with your kind of alma mater, I guess?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I'm sure for anyone who's gone back to, say, the elementary school that you were raised, and seen kind of children in your own shoes, it was a very rewarding experience. And also to be able to they really contributed, obviously, to the project. It would be nothing without them. But I also really enjoyed being able to bring back what I've learned as an artist, and kind of introducing them to the idea of animation. And I think that was cool, was how, because they colored a frame, I think it helped them to understand the concept of how animation works with pictures. So that was a cool thing to be able to communicate.
Yeah, definitely. And how did they respond when they saw the video? Did they recognize their work, or? Yeah.
You know, I think that I haven't really been able to get too much of a feedback from them, but sometimes I see comments from some of the children who were like, "Oh, I was in it," or so yeah.
That's really cool. And yeah, it's just sort of backtracking to mentioning, where you started being inspired to create art, and your journey to animating really sweet videos like this. Yeah, how did you find this path? And what drew you to music videos in particular?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. So I started as a dancer when I was very young, and I grew up dancing. And then when I was 18, I moved to LA as a dancer, and I was pursuing that as a career, and basically became very interested in the filmmaking medium as an extension of choreography. That's how I was introduced to it. So I always thought about the film medium a little less as narrative and a little more as emotional, a way of expressing emotion. And so as a choreographer, I have always loved interpreting music. And to me, the concept of a music video, in some ways, I see that as just very colorful choreography, kind of I see that filmmaking as using all of these elements of techniques and that goes beyond just the physical choreography. So that's kind of how I ended up music video.
Oh, I love that. Because Maya Deren was kind of my gateway to film as an art student. And I remember her saying, when you have I can dance, but when you have a camera in your hand, you can make the world dance.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that.
Yeah.
So that definitely resonates. So your friendship with Meg, was that through dancing then, or?
That was, so when I became a director, I kind of went down that path of, once I was introduced to filmmaking, it kind of took over my life a little, and I did leave dance a little bit and did end up starting to direct professionally. So I hadn't really known Meg before this project. It was just kind of through connection. Cool. Through my agent, though.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. Do you typically do films that are for children or young people, or is that something you're interested in continuing to do?
That's a really good question. I think I definitely am, and the older I get, the more interested and compelled I feel to, to help through what I've learned, maybe make things a little easier on children by trying to explain some of the things that have helped in my life to them. And I would say that I think in general, when I make a project, I always try to make it have a reason for existing. I try to have a message. I try to have an influence in the industry I'm in, because where I take the opportunity, but I ask myself, like, how can I make this into something that speaks to a certain group? Or, like, how do I make this a positive project? How do I transform the message so that the people watching it are influenced in a positive way? So I would say definitely the older I get, obviously children is a very important category of that. But I would say just in general, I always want to have a reason for something that I'm doing, or be aware of how it's affecting people and their image of themselves or the world they're in.
I love that. Yeah, definitely. And just, to speak on the impacts of your film, I've already heard arts educators talk about how this has really inspired them to, spark some collaborative projects with their very young art students. And so yeah, you're definitely inspiring Milwaukee-based arts educators here, which is exciting. And I guess my next question would be, what are you working on now, or what are you working on next? What themes impacts are you thinking about?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I have a few different projects. I'm currently working on a film in partnership with the National Film Board of Canada, which is exciting. And it's a dance film that I'm dancing in, I'm choreographing and directing. And it is a little bit difficult to explain. It's something you kind of have to see, I think. But it was inspired during the COVID time about the concept of how can I make something, what is the most beautiful film that I can make with no resources is kind of the idea, using just an iPhone. And so that's a long-term project that I've been working on almost since the beginning of COVID, and it's probably going to take another year, and it actually is a music video. So it's pretty intense, but I'm really excited about that. And then beside that project, I have been thinking about a few ideas that concern both just environmentalism and like plastic in the ocean and trying to have an impact on that side. And I also have a background in hip hop dance, especially. And so I'm in street dance, and I have some ideas of how I want to help like the education behind that art form as well. So a few things.
Well, you are definitely speaking to the Milwaukee film education team, because we're very into dance and the sort of dance pedagogy and
yeah.
So like there's some films in particular. We just had shout out to another event around dance and healing trauma that you can find on our Milwaukee Film YouTube channel. I'm like pointing to the space around me, but yeah, if you're interested in that, check it out. But yeah, so Joe Roy, where can we find your work?
Well, I have a website. It's joeroy.ca, and I also have a Vimeo. And if you just Google Joe Roy, my name, I'm sure that there will be lots of things that come up. So
awesome. Well, it has been a delight speaking with you and seeing your amazing outfit, which is very running up that hill.
Yeah, I'd like to be on theme.
Yes, definitely. We like. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that was delightful, and I am very pleased to bring on Carlos Douglas Jr., the director of Kenya's Symphony, as well as Michael Van Bodegom Smith, the composer. And it's really nice to see you both.
Hey. Oh, Carlos, are you? Well, yeah, thank you for having us. It's an honor to be here. Go Milwaukee.
It's an honor to have you here in Milwaukee. And Michael, we were talking about this earlier, but you have some history in Milwaukee.
Yes,
right?
yes. I was born and raised my early life in Milwaukee. Went to the elementary school there. It's really nice small town, and I love that the arts are becoming more and more influential in the city. Because I grew up like in the early 2000s, and there was a lot of art, but now I feel like it's being really well represented, especially like diversity-wise. It's really awesome to see.
Oh, thank you, and yeah, welcome back virtually.
Right, and Carlos, do we have you?
Yeah, welcome.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Been having tech problems, but yes. Sorry about the phone quality.
Oh, it's okay. It's lovely to see you regardless. Yeah, and thank you so much for your lovely film, Kenya's Symphony. Can you please tell us what inspired it? I think it's even dedicated to someone. Yeah, we'd love to hear the backstory of this.
So it's inspired by someone that I don't personally know, ironically. I was an usher working for the Chicago Symphony in 2018, and I got a chance to listen to so much great music from the Chicago Symphony, and I would be able to sit in on a lot of these concerts. And so one of the nights, there was a mom and daughter who came into the symphony, and the daughter, she couldn't have been over 5 years old. She was very young, very bright-eyed, and a lot of energy. And she did not want to listen to any of the music that was being played. All the adults in the room were fully engaged, and she was the only person in the room who just wanted to move around and just cause all kinds of chaos. And I thought that film idea would be something that would touch a lot of people, because it's a story that's based on someone finding out another side of themselves they never saw initially. It's based in music, and a lot of people connect with music and enjoy music. And I also was so interested in creating a film that was based around the symphony hall and music, but I didn't know where to start. And that's where Michael came in. We got a chance to meet one another and worked on the music for about a year. And so it really came together. And I think the film is being enjoyed by a lot of people. So that's just something that is really special to me.
Oh, I love that story. Yeah, I would love to hear more too about, what choices were made for the music and even just the visual quality is so, it was really nostalgic kind of to see. It almost reminded me of like some animation from like the 1950s or like shows that you would watch as a kid, someone from my generation would see as a kid. So yeah, would love to hear all the sort of aesthetic choices that you made.
Wow, you really hit the nail right on the head. The art style, that is exactly what we were trying to go for there. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I'm sure Michael can talk about the music and just sort of our process there.
Sure. Well, I mean, clearly, it takes place in the symphony. It's called Kenya Symphony. So like we immediately said like, oh man, let's go get a symphony orchestra. And we were both in college at the time, and that's a very hard thing to do. Even nowadays with big budgets, they're very expensive, but they're so beautiful. So our first kind of our goal was to try to get some kind of orchestra because we wanted it to be live if it was about this live experience, which, I'm not going to say it didn't go well, but it didn't happen at first. It took a long time, but it didn't matter. We started anyway. You can do a lot on the computer. So we started writing it, and because the events of the music go hand in hand with the events of the film, it's kind of like they interact with each other. So I think Carlos started it off, and I got ahead of him with the music. And then he started catching up to me by animating to what I had, and then it was back and forth, which was really fun. Usually you get the music like 2 weeks before they're done, and they're like, okay, can you write something in like 4 days, and we'll check it out. It's just not as lively that way. So it was really like the music was pretty much alive because we changed it every week, which is not something I've ever really had to do, and I loved it. But yeah, so I mean, we knew that she was going to go crazy at one point. She was going to cause a big disruption. So we started off with like a very standard classical sound, then moved to more of like a modern, like not quite jazzy, but chaotic sound. And then, from there she gets inspired, and then Carlos takes it away with like a change up of the art style, which it still gets me every time. But yeah, that's the general. It was probably more complicated than that, surprisingly, but that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, it's something very unconventional for animation for music to be done at the same time. So it was unorthodox to say the least. But we had to really push ourselves to make it happen while we were still completing our undergrads.
Wow, and it makes so much sense that you took that approach. I love hearing that because the music is a character, and it does add so much dynamism with, this. You're really showing this kind of awakening or like blooming of part of Kenya's consciousness, and of course it would make sense that the music would be, that you would be interacting with, the feedback of that more throughout the making of the film. So that's really cool. I really appreciate that you took that approach, both of you. But yeah, let's hear more about the visual stuff.
So for the visuals, there was a very clear story arc that both the music and the animation was trying to tell. So for the visual side, I wanted to have Kenya be put in this situation where she's very out of her element. She's a young African-American girl in a symphony full of 50, 60-year-old and plus people that she's never met before. And from my experience working at the symphony, Kenya's character was perfect for a film like this because when I was working there, the classical scene of music a lot of times is looked at as almost untouchable. It's not accessible to a lot of people who look like me, who are younger than me, and that sort of thing. And so I wanted to make sure that the audience could see that as well, that she's drawn differently from the background. And all the background characters, they look a little bit alien in a way. So they do have that like 50s UPA style. And so the idea was to create Kenya and her mother and draw it exactly how I animate anything else. That's my specific drawing style. But then I had to study UPA films from the 50s and 60s to get the background design and all the background characters to fit within this world. But once Kenya has her epiphany moment towards the end of the film, then she takes on and she assumes this role. And it's at this point, everyone is looking the same, you know, like everyone's enjoying the music and she looks exactly like everybody else. She's able to fit into this puzzle that wasn't really solved at the beginning of the story. So it was very intentional to have Kenya look completely different from everything else. And I mean, to be quite honest, I think that some of the decisions that both Michael and I made to get the film done while we were still in school with no budget, not a lot of time, ended up really helping the story out quite a bit because I decided UPA, they were a very limited style of animation and they did that purposely. That was for an aesthetic choice. UPA, like films from the 50s and 60s, look so much different from what Disney was creating, like with The Jungle Book and all these other films that have this like amazing, flourishing, colorful animation. They wanted to do something different. So their art style looks a little bit more simplistic, uses less drawings. And I decided to do that because it was going to save me a lot of time in production to be able to complete something like this, a 4-minute long film in under 2 years. But it also lended itself to the story because then we were able to have that disconnect between Kenya and the audience members.
You are thrilling me with this masterclass, Carlos.
Glad to hear it. Yeah, it was a journey, that is for sure. I mean, we had to think about things in such a different way. We almost had to rewire the way we look at film just to create this thing. So it was it's a very proud achievement for both of us, I would say.
Well, yes, as you should be. This is brilliant to hear, and it's such a brilliant and delightful, beautiful film. I'm so glad that we could have it in our festival this year. And I would love to hear where you're at. So you've just gotten, have you graduated school, and how's all that going, and what are you working on now? I'd love to hear this trajectory too.
Oh, sure. Michael, you want to go first?
Sure. I think we have similar things to say. But,
yeah, in a way.
We both graduated actually about a year ago, a year ago. So, hey, well, look at that. We were out.
I know. Perfect timing.
So, yeah, we both graduated in Chicago, Columbia College, Chicago, last May. And I've been in LA for the past year, and I've been working on a couple different music-related things, feature-length musical film during the quarantine that was interesting, and a couple other animated series actually. But Carlos and I have a couple like common projects that we're trying to get off the ground, but I'm sure he can tell you more about it.
Yeah, and for my end, we both graduated from Columbia College, Chicago, and so I'm also from the Midwest, so Chicago and the Chicagoland area is where I've lived pretty much my entire life. So I'm still here at the moment. I'm working on a few animated projects myself. I just finished working with the Jazz Institute of Chicago on a project for their Chicago's Wide World of Jazz event. And so that was keeping me occupied for a while. And we are also working on some Kenya-related things as well, and other animated projects. So it's we're going to keep the narrative going, and we are going to be having some more progress made in the next couple of years, I'm hoping. And so, yeah, right now I'm just looking for, where I'm going to find my place in the animation industry now that I'm done with school and I can use my degree. So that's sort of the next step for me.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see more stories about Kenya and just more of your work in general. This was fantastic talking to you, and I learned so much. I'm sure our audience did too. So thank you for the masterclass, and thank you for your lovely film. And is there anywhere that people can find your work outside of this festival, or anything else you want to share?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram at CJDJ Art. Those are probably the two best places you can reach out to me. But yes, I'd love to collaborate with others. And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to see what happens in the next year, you know, the people that I'll meet and just the animation projects we'll be able to work on. And I'm very excited for what Michael and I have to come in store as well.
Ooh. Awesome. Well, thank you both so very much, and looking forward to next time. All right, and I am once again delighted to bring on our next guests, Natalia Bernal and Alejandro Coronado in Colombia from Pescadito Films.
Hi, Mariel, and hi, all of you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh, it is our pleasure. It's our honor. Yeah, we have had a Pescadito production last year, and I met Giselle and Natalia then at our original Nightcap event. So it's just so lovely to have you back and to meet you, Alejandro, as well. And so, Alejandro, you were the cinematographer for the short documentary Ramon.
That's
Awesome.
right.
And Natalia, you were the director. And yeah, we would love to hear, like, you know, how did you meet Ramon in the first place?
Yes, first of all, thanks a lot, because Milwaukee is like a very important festival for us, for Pescadito Films. We were last year with 3 Feet, a fiction short film. And right now, we are happy with Ramon, that it's a documentary short film. And yes, I am from Colombia. Actually, we're in Colombia. But in that moment, I was in Mexico.
And we were shooting a film of mine actually in Mexico, and we were working with a martial arts community in a small town near Mexico City called Temixco. And in this class, well, I was like recording one of the senseis and all that, and in the class of the sensei, Ramon was there, and very young kid. How old was he?
He was 8 years old, and when I was watching this group of kids that were in the training of kickboxing, I was like with a lot of expectations about why they like that sport, why they were there. Yes, and so I began like to be there, like to watch what they were doing, and I met Ramon, and Ramon was very like.
He was the anti-kickboxer, I will say. He was a very mellow kid, very kind, and very responsive to us. And Natalia fell in love with the kid, and so we started following him. And Natalia realized she found a character. You know, we didn't know at that moment because we were busy with the other films, so to speak, but we kind of pretty much veer our view like towards the kid, like little by little, like it just started happening naturally. Like the kids start to attract us more than the other project, and it was an escape from the other project too. So it worked.
Yes, I asked the team, the sound person, the Alex, the cinematographer, the other camera person. I said, I need you as a team because this is a fantastic character. So we work with the team because working with children, it's very special. So we were like training the team to work with children, because not all the people of the team has been working before with kids, and it's very important to understand the dynamic of kids, the dynamic of how we make the shooting, all that, how we talk with kids. It's another kind of rhythm that we have. So that's two interesting things with the team.
Yes, and I have had the pleasure of watching you, Natalia, interact with children directly through this year's Nightcap event, which was fantastic. And I loved your presentation so much, and the children had such a great time. Yeah, how do you impart that way of working to a team that isn't, as experienced with that work? What are some of the main, I guess, tenets or approaches for working on a project involving children?
Yes, with Giselle, that it's to the co-director of Pescadito Films. We have we have been in several projects with children, so we have created a methodology, and it's very important, like the game, to play with the kids, like to be really enjoy what you are doing, like to explain to the kids all the things that you're doing, because it's like explain.
I don't know. In part, I think it was to, I don't know exactly what you're trying to say, but it has to do with letting the kid know everything
Yeah.
we're doing and why we are doing what we're doing. Like we're moving the camera this way. It's because we want to capture something, and let the kid know. And there's not trying to surprise him or trick him into doing anything.
And to listen them in all the moments, like of the productions. So for us, it's very important. For example, since the script in a fiction production, the script that we have, we listen to the kids what they are thinking about that. Maybe some scenes there are no, like they don't believe the scene. It's for them. It's like weird, or maybe they. So we are like listening if they have another kind of proposal. Is it
Proposal.
a proposal about the script? And during the production too, they are like with all the team, like working with all the information, as told Alex. And the post production, we make before the final cut. We present in a focus group. Every time we present with the kids like a version before the final cut, and they like give us the all the information and all the things and their opinions and what they think about all the production. So we include the children during all the process, and our team have to be ready to be with the kids. Yes, and that's very important. So in Mexico was really very great experience, because we get like that practice, and finally we could work with the kids. Yeah.
Well, we were lucky in a sense. Sorry, because we were in a house, the whole crew, a very small crew, 4 people. So we were able to have like afternoon conversations of what we were doing right and what we were doing wrong. So it was always, if we made mistakes approaching the kids or something like that, we will talk about it. There's a lot of talking, like instead of from Natalia mostly, like that sudden movement you made to run with the camera from A to B kind of scared the kids and pull their attention. So don't do that. Move slower. Let them know.
The level of the camera, no?
Yeah, like very specific things. Like we have to be very aware as a camera person to lower the camera to their eye level and don't look down on the kids. Like it's very common to see the shot that it's tilted down, and to be aware of that. Like, no, we're in the kids' world, so we have to be at their level. And that's that has nothing to do with anything, but that's physically taxing. So that you have to be prepared for that when working with kids. Like one of the things, like you need to be ready for those kind of things, and very energetic too. Like the energy runs out at some point, but while they do have energy, you have to have their same level of energy, and that's also very consuming for the crew. And but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. Like we learn in school that you shouldn't work with kids. Like you kind of get a little bit scared about the difficulties of working with kids, but it's not really difficult. It's just different, and you have to be ready for that. And it's once you do it, it's beautiful. It's its own thing.
Oh, you answered like a million questions I was already going to ask you, so I really appreciate that. And just to affirm what you said, that absolutely in Ramon, like you are in that world, and really get to know this person and listening to you talk about this, and I can already kind of get a sense of you both as really caring, attentive, generous people, and it is challenging work, but I just, I feel so moved because you're so well suited to it. And I just feel filled with like, inspiration and gratitude for what you do as someone who also, cares about, children as human beings, and you really honor that. So I first, want to really thank you for all the effort and attention that you put into that work, because it really shows, and it's just such a wonderful thing to hear you speak about it like this. So thank you for being here and sharing all of that.
Oh, thank you, because it's very important for us, like to the kids, and especially Ramon in this case, they teach us a lot of things. I think that we are really maybe so honored, like to be with him, because really, and that we show that in the short film. Yes, that really we learn a lot of things, because that specific thing that Ramon like live in a championship is really like daily things that we have in our life. We either in our own life we have to lose or to win, how we react to that kind of things. So I think for us it's an honor like to be with Ramon too.
Absolutely. And another thing I was thinking while hearing more about your process is that there's a lot of characteristics about Ramon that I think kind of reflect you and your work. I don't mean to just shower you with compliments all night, but he's really sensitive to other people's emotions. I think that he's one of those people who just really cares about maintaining, balance and care amongst the people around him. And that's a really beautiful thing that we get to see through the film, and it's really cool to be able to share that, through this festival, and share it with other children who might, see this person as a role model, and a peer, someone their age who just exhibits, we call it good sportsmanship, but it really encompasses so much more. So it's such a lovely person. Are there other projects that you're working on right now, or working together on?
Yes, but Alex is part really of Pescadito Films, so he is part of the team that we
Awesome.
are working with. Yes, because Pescadito has been like growing up with the special team that we are working with. And in Pescadito, we are right now working with Giselle Henay in a series, a documentary series about girls and sports. And we are right now in the development stage. So we are with like looking for characters. We are making like small interviews with kids, with girls that we are knowing that with that kind of for that series. And it's basically that we believe in the power of kids and the power and the capacity of resilience that they have, and how in the daily life kids have to be in front of a lot of like problems, and how they can get out of them. And that's because of the resilience of the power, like to make decisions and make a and yes, and get the goal that they're looking for. So we are right now with Symphony in that series of called Poderosos. That's powerful in English.
Oh, can't wait to see that. And I'm just curious too, what happened to the film that you were working on, Alex? The one with the adults in it.
That one's a downer, so it's the complete opposite of Ramon. It was also a documentary. It's picture locked, sound mix. It's being prepared and color correction and all that. And we'll see what happens to it. It was. It's called Dr. V, and in the future we'll might be able to show it at the very near future. But yeah, Natalia was the producer of that film, and we've been working together since. And like she said, I'm an honorary member of Pescadito, and I'm very grateful because I learned a lot from Giselle, her partner, and Natalia. I think now that they are approaching Poderosas, this new project, I think their strength is that sensitivity to find the resilience in kids and to find the power within them. And I just think it will be amazing. And just being part of it, even from the periphery, it helps me because my films are downers, and so I don't talk about it. These films actually do something.
That's nice well, I can't wait to see both films, even the downer one. Well, it's been a real pleasure speaking with both of you. Before I let you go, and also ask you where we can find your work, do you have any behind-the-scenes stories, any highlights from filming Ramon that you'd like to share during our talk?
I have one, but they don't like to hear it very much. The thing is that maybe it's a spoiler to the people, but Ramon loses the fight, right? But we didn't know that. Like, we were still hoping, some of us, that he will win. And one of the camera person, Raul, was very moved by him losing. He was like unbelievably sad about it. He was
crying. He was crying with the camera, and it was very hard. Yeah.
We all felt more for Raul, like thinking Ramon could win than anything else. And the fight itself was less than a minute long, and so everything was really fast, and it took us by surprise, and we were all shocked at that moment. And yeah, and Raul cried.
For me, it was a very important relation that has Ramon with Banana Monkey, because really it was really. He was with this little
like stuffed animal.
Yes, and in the car all time he was with the Banana Monkey. And when the fight is finished, I was like asking in a very respectful way, but I was asking Ramon what he thinks about losing. And he could not answer to me. So I asked to Banana, yes, and Manaki, yes.
And the monkey answered. I mean, it was really interesting to see. It worked beautifully. Like, the kid was I believe that he wasn't able to articulate
Yeah.
by himself the "I lose." Like that, saying that sentence
Was
was
impossible for him in that
at
moment.
that moment. But it was easy for him to say Banana Monkey says
Yes.
that I did a really good job.
Yeah, so was and I don't know, it's was like so close the relation between them. Then I didn't think a lot about that, but I saw a Banana Monkey with him, so I asked Banana Monkey, and Banana Monkey answered. Really, Ramon said, Banana Monkey says that I am really I make a great effort, and Banana Monkey said that it was a big, yeah, like
Competitors.
yes. So it is nice for me. I like it.
Thank you both for sharing those stories. My heart is warmed and kind of, yeah, that's very beautiful. Okay, well, I'm feeling emotional. Where can we find more about you or find out more about Pescadito Films?
Yes, we have in Facebook. We have a Pescadito Films, and we have three feet. It's the other short film. But Pescadito Films, you can find us in Facebook and at Instagram. Pescadito Films. And then you can know like the music that we are doing. Where is Ramon? Ramon has been very like active and very energetic, and he is right now in Milwaukee. He's going to Ireland. He's going to Brazil.
Greece.
Yes.
Yeah. We're very happy about that. We're very, very happy about that. To be honest, it's a project that surprises, like how well the kids receive it. It's for me that it's kind of the first film for children that I make. It's just unbelievable to see how kids like it, and very gratifying.
Yeah, how are they responding to it?
Kids love it. Like they're excited in the fight. Like they cheer for Ramon. Like they feel for him at the end, and they all, well, not, I don't know all, but in the Q&A that I've been, it's always like, what was the lesson of the film? And everybody says like losing is part of life, and they it teaches that, and then it's
Yes.
yeah.
And because when we made a focus group with the kids before the final cut of Ramon, they told us about like was very important the reaction when you lose or you win. So they began like to tell us about that maybe another kids in the classroom when they lose they began like to fight with the others or to push or to cry or to yell or something. And so it's how you react when you fight, when you lose, for example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
oh, that's beautiful. And is Ramon still kickboxing?
He's doing Taekwondo. I think Lima Lama, which is martial arts, very acrobatic, very like high kicks and all that stuff. But he's still competing, and it's great because he's wins some, loses some, and he's just keeps training because he loves it. And, yeah.
yes, he is like.
Oh.
With Banana Monkey.
Ah, yes, with Banana Monkey. It's like 3 months ago. Yeah.
Aww.
He has another haircut. He's not more with the Bango Chupado. Change. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I've just loved speaking with you and love this film, and I'm so happy that it's finding success internationally. So we're proud to show it here in Milwaukee.
Thank you, Mariela. Thanks, and it's very important to be there in Milwaukee. We expect to be there in person, personally there, not online in Milwaukee. Really, I hope next year we will be there.
Oh, we would love that.
And
Yeah.
thank you very much for having us. It's been fun.
Thank you. Beautiful work, Alex. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, that was such a lovely series of conversations with filmmakers from our Rated K program. If you're tuning in live, you have one more day to catch these films, and I highly recommend you do. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please donate to our Double Up if you are able. Yeah, see you on the flip side from 2021 Milwaukee Film Festival.